Thank you, everyone, for your patience.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, is there any additions? There is one. Or deletions? And I see there's an access permit application.
Yes. And Cash already pre-approved it, but you do need to.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we add the access permit under highway.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay. How about the March 23rd, 2026 minutes?
So moved to be approved.
I'll second.
No comments? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Gotta sign these beauties. All right, Highway Road Commissioner. The access permit. This is Vermont Electric Power, is that,
Yes, for Velco.
okay.
It's a temporary setup for access.
On Pinnacle Ridge.
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay.
and it has to be signed by just,
The chair.
yep.
Move we approve the request and have it signed by the chair.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Kim, do you have anything you want to report under highway?
I do not.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Cash invited me to join them this morning at their get-together at 6, which I did. Brought the guys some brownies, which they, of course, were very happy about, I hope. And we had a good discussion about the day and the week's activities in terms of what the boys are going to be doing. And they're currently out on Schoolhouse Hill, and I went out to visit them this morning at 10 to see what kind of progress they're making. And they apparently are trying, had a kind of conversation with one of the citizens that I need to follow up on, I guess, in terms of how much, where the right of the roadway is and all that sort of thing, in terms of the, on the east side of the, well, sort of the east side of the road. The side that Grimwick's is on there, got no problem. He said, do what you need to do. And on the other swampy side, just below where the sugaring goes on, there is some question, I guess, from not Phelan, but the next neighbor, I forget his name.
Here.
Yeah, in terms of if they're going to do anything to upset the wetland area. So that's where it is at the moment.
Do we know how this? So, let's say this the proper way. How did this skip from us at our select board meeting saying we were going to have a meeting with all the residents up there to now, all of a sudden work's being done?
I do not know. That was not mentioned this morning. I assume that something had been.
Because I thought
I was depending on Cash's.
I thought that it got brought up at this level, and we said we were going to have a landowner meeting up there.
We very well could have. I don't recall that.
Shelley's nodding at me, so she must have been at that meeting and remembered.
I want to say it was the last meeting.
It was not too awful long ago. I thought that we had it at this level, and we
I
said,
believe you're right as I reflect on it, but I assume that Cash had some method for proceeding ahead. So
okay.
I guess it's a discussion we need to have.
Okay.
But I was under the impression that Cash had been talking to everybody up there. That's I guess I can share that with you.
Okay.
Well, when we drove down here tonight, there's a ton of tree logs in both Pierre's yard. I mean, a lot of logs in his yard and some logs in Kathy's yard
Yeah,
that I'm assuming came off of Schoolhouse Hill Road.
yeah. That's what they said to me this morning when I visited the site, that they were going to do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, it's better than having it sit on the side of the road,
Yes.
so.
Well, I guess there was a question on the logs for, is it Piers? I keep the names, in terms of, I guess these trees were right next to the stone wall. they felt that those were necessary. Apparently, the snow wing is hitting the trees when they're going through, so that's all I can add at this point. But I did tell Parker that I would check with him in the morning to see what was needed, if anything. So I'll ask him the question about how come they started.
Okay.
And looks like, they're also, I don't know if you talked to them about it on Walker Mountain Road, sharp turn there.
Yep.
They're building up the side road, shoulder of it.
Yeah, I guess, yes. I don't know anything other than that they're doing it.
Yeah. I saw Joel came in today, pick up his paycheck, and I asked him, and they said, yeah, they wanted to raise that up. So.
Well, Joel today, I guess, was out grading on the east side of town.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Any questions?
Well, my question is the email that I sent to you guys about the ditch, and you asked Cash to follow up. I have not heard a word from Cash.
Did he mention anything about that?
I haven't heard anything about it.
I briefly ran into him in here, and he said that he was going to get back to you. But he said there's a tree issue,
Yeah.
a stump or whatever it
There's a
is.
tree there.
There's a tree there. One of the trees is a boundary tree. It's
Mhm.
right there where the stone wall comes down the hill
Yeah.
between Chaffee's property and his property. And it's dead. That tree needs to stay. And it's got red paint on it, very faded. The next tree down, yeah, I mean, but it's in the town right away.
Yeah.
So,
So the boundary tree's in the town right away too.
right.
I mean,
So he may be, now I don't know this for certain, but there's some other issues around town relative to trees, so he may be trying to coordinate with somebody to come, clean the trees up. So,
They did say that they had a fellow that climbs trees and takes them down, limb by limb, come in for something on Schoolhouse. I guess there's some power lines over where they're working.
yeah, but that was, the issue was the power lines. They
Yeah.
had a, protection.
Power
There is
lines
no
we
power
have,
line
is
up
it
there
not
because
up
our
there?
power comes up from the creek road.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
true.
So,
the
so
tree-
there's no power there.
the one that's dead is on Jim Washington's property. No, actually, it's on the town right away.
Right.
The other one is in the town right away too, and that one probably needs somebody knows what they're doing to cut it down.
It's because it's a twin maple.
Yeah, it's a twin
Okay,
maple, and
yeah.
it's tall, and
Yeah.
you're gonna get it hung up if you just knock it across the road.
Is it still solid?
Solid as a rock.
Kim, just make a little note so when Cash comes back, or if you have an opportunity tomorrow to talk to any of the road crew members, Joe Baker or whatever, ask them if they had that discussion. I'd appreciate it. Then we can get back to you. All right. Anything else? All right. Approval of the select board warrants.
I haven't seen it yet.
They're right here.
Ready to go to George.
Thanks.
Georg. Gates.
Thanks.
And any guests? All right, any public comments? All right, new business, reappointment of appointed committee members and positions. We've been talking.
I outlined them all. The only person I didn't hear back from with a agreement to continue was Arthur Peterson.
Okay.
Otherwise, you have.
Otherwise, I have permission from everyone else.
With that being said, then I'll make a motion to approve the slate. Then the whole
Yep,
crew.
Are you including Peterson?
Yeah, and we'll leave it basically if he declines.
Okay.
We'll approve. Approve it contingent upon his acceptance. How's that?
I'll second that.
okay. Any further discussion on that? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And for the record, I said aye too. Kinda. All right, discussion of need for new private road name for the extension off of Squire Road. That's the one that goes out to the dog kennel.
Yep.
Yeah, so Dan Allard had approached me about wanting new E911 addresses for 2 parcels he had carved out. And he has a lot of property on that road and maintains that road. Wonderland Pet Lodge has been using Squires Road, but now with these additional pieces, it triggers the need for a new
Name.
private road name. Dan was gonna talk with the Wonderland Pet Lodge folks and sort of bounce back some ideas, but I did pull our street naming ordinance, and it says that we're supposed to call a hearing and have public input on the naming process.
All right, so my suggestion would be that if they come up with a proposed name, then we can coordinate and maybe bring it up at our next meeting. And so that'll-
Does it meet the requirement to just say that our next meeting is gonna, under highway is when we're gonna do that? That we're gonna
As
accept
long as-
suggestions?
As long as I advertise it, right? As
Yeah, you
a
have
public
to post
hearing,
it.
as a part
I
of our
mean,
meeting,
let's
I
just do
think
it
that'd
that
be
way.
fine.
I don't
think
see
that'd
any
be better,
need to have
yeah.
to have a whole extra.
Right.
Just, we're
Right.
gonna do it highways first thing anyway,
Yep,
so.
and I
after
can
we approve
alert the
minutes-
parties on the road about that, and then they can provide input
And
when they're here.
They don't, what we've done, I'm trying to think the last one we did, I know I was here. We did, some people just submitted names in writing, like they sent them to Kim and just sent a note that said,
Last one we
hey,
did was over on,
oh, we had to
for
change.
Sunny Young.
We had to change, yeah, we did that one too. Yeah, so Kim, whatever, I guess I'll make a motion to authorize Kim to do whatever needs to be done, and have it take place under the highway section of next meeting.
How many property owners are at the present time involved? Or it sounds like 2?
There's 2 structures having to do with the Wonderland Pet Lodge.
Yep.
That's the pet lodge itself.
And then you said there was another person who's purchased land?
Dan Allard, who owns the land, has sectioned out 2 parcels that he wants to sell.
Excuse
Okay.
me.
So you're talking to those folks in terms of what their thoughts are.
What their thoughts are. Yep.
I think when you talk with them, that other than just getting a name, maybe a rationale, why do you think this is a good or important or whatever?
Okay.
So, I'm gonna, since I don't think my motion got seconded, I'm gonna withdraw that motion for right now. I'm gonna authorize Kim to warn at whichever meeting appropriate, because if we need more time, it may have to actually be
Yep.
the meeting after. So, at whatever meeting most practical is my motion,
From what I get from
from
the
whatever
parties.
you figure out, because I don't
Okay.
know if it's a 30-day, I don't know what the warning time limit
Okay,
is.
yep.
I will
you're
second
right,
your
I will
amendment.
take
All right, we've had brief discussion. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Moving right on. Renewal of membership with Covered Bridge Society. Want to speak to that?
Yes, so last fall, we had become a member of the Bridge Society, and we had our membership of $100 got us the, what do you call them? The banners for the bridge during that Covered Bridge Week, and they're looking for us to renew it. And with that, there's a few pluses we get from it. And they did get a grant for their 250th year flag project, and they're using the funds of the renewal of membership to go in addition to that. They were short a little bit of money for that, so we would get a special,
So the long and short of
flag.
it, it didn't change at all. We're just doing the $100.
just the $100 support for the year.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve the signing on for membership.
Second.
Any discussion? All right. There's no place to sign on this. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right. All righty. sign of the grant agreement, BR 1379.
So this is a grant we already received, and at the last meeting, you had signed a grant agreement with Rutland Regional Planning Committee member who's going to actually do the work on the MRGP roads. But the money is coming from this grant, and now this is the official grant agreement for the funds.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that the chairman sign on behalf of the board the official grant agreement for BR 1379.
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Will you wait, George?
Sorry,
He's reading.
I'm all set.
Please, oh, did you say aye?
I did.
Maybe I'm sleeping
Possible.
then. Okay.
Yes, we gotta be careful, these old men on the board, I guess.
Yeah, discussion of letters to the legislature. I'd ask Rob to read that.
So we have a proposed letter tonight. Kim did a great job editing this.
Yeah.
The board had there was a couple emails that bounced around. We've all at this point been approached with concerns about 181 and especially Tier 3 and the road rule that you're hearing about a lot in the news right now, and there's a lot of discussion in the legislature about withdrawing that part of the bill and repealing it ultimately. So the letter that at least a couple of us really liked actually was one that Cabot did a few days ago. And so we, not to reinvent the wheel, kind of made it our own, and here it is. So, to the Vermont General Assembly, the Town of Clarendon Select Board writes to express our strong opposition to Act 181, and we urgently request a repeal of Act 181. Act 181 was first presented as a means to expand housing opportunities. However, it is now clear the burden would be placed on rural Vermonters, particularly communities like ours. Very concerning is the Tier 2 road rule, which eliminates the ability of many rural Vermonters to build even modest homes on their property. Longstanding exemptions that once allowed farmers and families to create housing along existing farm roads has also been removed, placing such projects out of reach due to the high cost of permitting, legal, and consulting requirements. Even more troubling is the Tier 3 designation, which impacts many of Vermont's most rural and economically vulnerable areas. While intended to protect sensitive ecological resources, the mapping used to define Tier 3 has been questioned by many. These concerns raise doubts about the accuracy and fairness of the restrictions that are being imposed. Rural property owners were not meaningfully included in Act 181's drafting, nor were they adequately informed about the changes affecting their land. The implementation of this law places decision-making authority in the hands of unelected Land Use Review Board, further removing accountability from the people most affected. For many rural Vermonters, private property is their most valuable asset and the legacy of hope to pass on to future generations. Act 181 threatens to make land effectively unbuildable, lowering its value and limiting opportunities for families to remain in the communities they call home. At a time when Vermont faces population decline, these policies will keep young families from staying and returning to Vermont. In Clarendon and neighboring communities, significant portions of privately owned land have been designated as Tier 2 and Tier 3. Many residents are unaware that their property rights are being restricted. These are the same residents who contribute substantially to the local tax base. Under Act 181, many of the homes and neighborhoods that exist today would not have been possible. The process and content of this legislation depict a serious breach of public trust. We respectfully urge the Vermont Legislature to repeal Act 181. We do not support location-based Act 250 or the road rule.
I think that says it all.
And I will make a motion that we approve that.
Second.
And when you approve it, we all want to sign.
There's a spot for all of us that are here tonight. Yep.
Okay. So the motion made, seconded. I'm in favor of this letter myself. So I would ask all those in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? For the record, I am aye as well.
I just had a question on where exactly we wanted to send that because, it could go a few different places. We mentioned once to the
So,
governor, lieutenant governor, and
what I
legislature in
w-
general.
Yeah, so what I would suggest is probably the fastest, because they're still hearing testimony this week, is the entire Vermont delegation, which their emails are, I might even have them in a group email, Kim, that I can send it to
Okay.
you.
Yep.
And lieutenant governor's office and the governor's office.
Yep.
Those I would probably do hard copy. But one of our delegation members is actually on House Environmental, so if you send it to him, he's going to get
Okay.
it and be able to take it straight to
Dave
the.
Bosch?
Okay.
No, Chris Pritchard
Okay.
is on House Environmental.
Okay.
So,
So
but
if
I
you can
would,
give me those, that would be great.
yeah, tomorrow morning I'll pull them off my computer
Okay.
and I'll send them your way.
And another suggestion, as far as I'm concerned, I think that we ought to take this letter, after we sign it, and put it on our website.
Yep.
So that, because I've been getting a lot of questions by phone about this.
If we're addressing it.
And
I'm
so that we're
gonna
looking-
I'm gonna take a picture of it as well after you guys sign it and I sign it, and we have a lot of community members that are in that Facebook group, and I'm just gonna myself put it on there so that
We're
it's
doing
it's
it good,
it's
too.
visible.
Send this message out in some kind of a press release.
Yep. So. But I think it was an important action, though. So
Yep.
thank you to you guys too, because
Absolutely.
You wanna- Okay. Well, we're signing that.
George. And then I'll take it back for a second. Yep.
Old business, Donna Price.
Hi,
Hi.
Donna.
Go
I'm
ahead.
here, I think Nicolette was here in October and talked about the chapel that she's been working on. So I wanted to come and introduce myself. I'm the new executive director, and Scott is working specifically on the chapel project
Mm-hmm.
for the Corpwell Foundation. And so I just wanted to meet people in town, and I'm fairly new to Rutland myself and new to Vermont, live in Rutland. Came from a small town in New Jersey, so
Are there any?
yeah,
Oh, southern New Jersey? Oh, yeah.
northern
You
New
ever want to see
Jersey.
acres and
What-
acres of
what
asparagus,
town?
go to southern New Jersey.
Stillwater.
Southern New Jersey is very rural.
You know where Nyack is, right?
I grew up near Nyack.
That's where I'm originally from.
Oh, really?
Ah, yeah,
Back
in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we could talk about Nyack, but
Different time.
yes. But we just wanted to update you that we've been applying for some grants to start some renovations and painting on the exterior of the building. And we did Scott coordinated a fire inspection.
Yeah, we got a good response for the fire department. We were, there's no plumbing over at the,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm from West Haven, by the way.
Yep.
What we're doing part-time is, we're helping fundraise and develop and try to get the chapel restored and reused. And the Fire Safety Division came right over. Good news is, we don't need sprinklers, because that would have killed the project. To put what water in there would have, that's just, it's way beyond our budget. So they said just fire alarms, a little bit of landscaping, so people can get out of the building if it happens to catch on fire, which it won't. So,
Yeah.
Do y'all utilize that building at all?
no, the plan is to restore it first.
Okay.
Get the exterior painted, get the boards off the windows.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
it to be less of an eyesore, and we're applying for grants right now. Vermont Arts Council has a grant called Cultural Facilities Grant. We're going to apply for rewiring the building,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe we'll also ask for putting in a bathroom in there, because there's no bathroom. We'll put it like a composting bathroom. So we're basically applying for grants. That's our main way to fundraise, right, Donna?
Yeah, we're going to be doing some local fundraising as well, but we're doing grant applications and with the Preservation Trust, with the Arts Council. We have
Yep.
several other grants that we'll be pursuing.
So when the job is done, what are you gonna do to utilize that building?
So Nicolette's vision for the building was to do some programming for elders aging in place,
Good idea, yep.
and but also to have some space for the historical society to perhaps have exhibit space. So I think that there's opportunity for us to have conversation about like what would be good in the space as well. There's obviously some challenges because there's no parking and at the chapel,
There's
so
not
we
much
have
property
to
outside.
figure out like how
Yeah.
we navigate that for people. But with programs for elderly people, they would probably be dropped off, so parking wouldn't be as much of an issue for that.
It's good.
So
I'm glad to see somebody's getting proactive.
yeah, we are working on it.
Have you had any resolution? I know last time Nicolette was here, it came up the fact that you guys don't hold the deed to the property. Has that been
Yes, we-
resolved at this point?
Yes, as
Good
far as I
question.
know.
Okay,
We
because
have-
I know that was one of the major concerns that came up was the
Yeah.
fact that there was no deed being
No.
held. So
Yeah, we have.
I think
the
it
deed.
changed hands in January, right, Don?
What's that?
I don't know the
I think
date.
I
but-
think it conveyed that the Corpwell Foundation, as of some time in January, we now own it. It went
Okay.
from the Friends of the Clarendon. They finally.
so
did
it
paperwork.
has been
It
transferred.
was
over.
hanging.
It was hanging out there. Yeah.
I think largely because Nicolette's husband got
Is
sick
there an
and she got
opportunity
distracted.
for you guys to get a copy of that so that we can have it on?
Well,
Yeah, we
It
get-
would be, yeah.
it's
but
on
I'm-
file. Yeah.
It's on file, it's in the vault. There's some questions about it, but they submitted it.
Okay.
Oh, there are some questions.
This
Okay.
Kevin's one of our listers. So
Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah, we'd like to know the questions. Sure.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious about that part of it. I was glad to hear that the fire safety meeting went the way it went. I saw that email. So
Yeah.
Oh,
that
good.
was
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're also in the process of rebuilding the board of trustees, so if you know of people that might be interested in serving on the board, it's a nonprofit, so I can certainly provide information about that, and I have information on the Corpwell Foundation website,
Okay.
so,
That'd be good. Then we could get that on our website.
yep, and Kim has my email
Okay.
and contact information as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good job.
What would
I
help-
also, in researching grants this last week, came across funding through the foundation that was developed by the Vermont Country Store. And I just brought some information for you. It's a program called Community Heart and Soul. And it's the only thing that they fund through their nonprofit. So there's nothing for us there. But it's a program for towns, for small rural towns, to build community and get everybody involved. And it sounded pretty cool. So I brought some overview information for you to
Yeah, that would be great.
look at it or,
Yeah, if
or not.
Kim can pass that on to us. If you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that'd be
we
great.
won't take any more of your time. Except what would help is we write grants. It's just letters of support. You don't have to say much. Like restoring the chapel would be a benefit because right now it's a negative with all those boards on the.
Sounded pretty cool.
It would just help surrounding property values, and if we can get it functioning as a multi-purpose community center, then it's even more of a plus. But we could tell you more details. We have a deadline. I think it's May 15th. The Vermont
For the
Vermont
next
Council of the Arts Cultural Facilities Grant deadline. They say that letters to support help. Bob's writing one from the Historical Society.
The suggestion for letters of support is you write it and you give it to them to sign.
Yeah, it's too much work. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. You're right. Yeah, thank you.
And I personally wish you luck on your endeavors. I think it's a worthwhile effort.
Thank you.
Me too. I agree with George. We don't agree often, but I agree with him.
Yeah, we just.
Every once in a while, it's important to agree.
Yeah.
You have a deed, you have a typical deed done by a law office. Then you got someone who writes on a piece of paper, a line piece of paper, I, Bob, give Jim this.
That's what we have. Yeah.
Will it stand if someone challenges?
Okay.
That's, it's
Yeah.
filed. I mean,
Yeah.
it's filed and so, but that's just.
And I was
the
going to
issue.
say, and many times those things do stand until there's a problem, right?
Right.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's
Until
the
someone
question.
wants to look and say, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So,
It's on
I mean, we
applications,
filed it,
yeah.
we transferred the property, we filed it, and it's what was submitted. But the issue is,
Right.
until someone does decide to take a look, the neighbor's already contacted us.
Jim, yeah.
We've been in touch with him, he's
Right.
got his questions, and, you know, he's gonna get his line surveyed,
Right.
so,
It's good.
Try to get that straightened out.
apparently he was concerned about some building going on, ramps going out the back,
Yeah.
which would basically land on his property.
Yeah, I've had good conversations with him. Yeah.
So
We're
he's gonna
trying-
get the line surveyed. so.
Yeah, ideally Clayton will find his survey, and then we can know not only Clayton's boundary with the chapel, but Jim's, just
Right.
with, through
Well,
geometry.
A surveyor will
Yeah.
figure it all out.
Yeah,
but
we'd
that's-
like not to spend the money, but yes.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I guess Jim's gonna do it. I mean, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
He, that's his, prerogative. I guess there's some people who are out from Corpwell.
yeah, I've heard Jim's stories, like from 20 years ago.
No,
that-
just
somewhere.
recently yelling at.
No, it was
his
20 years ago, but Jim will tell the story again.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just, it happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so anyhow, so
Jim's
we
told me
advise
it 3 or
him-
4 times. I know the chronology.
Was that building originally there, or was that moved?
The chapel?
Yeah.
I think it was originally built there. I think it's original on that.
Been there as
I think
long
it's
as I can remember.
I was gonna say, I think it's,
Oh, well.
there was a historical,
You and God put it there, right?
there was a,
Did you sign the deed for him?
there was a historical society
could.
post on it, and I think it says it was built there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty
I
sure.
think it was built
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
It looks like it could have moved because it's just up on those cement pillars, but I think it was built right there in place. Yeah.
Either way, thank you for the update.
Yeah.
Appreciate the
Appreciate
update.
it.
And most, and just generally, everybody doesn't want to see the building. If anything, the most ever happens, it gets restored, you know. I mean, no one wants to see it fall in on itself. Sure.
Right.
No, of course not.
All right, moving right along. Thank you very much. I appreciate the information. Got anything you want to report?
Pardon?
You have anything you want to report?
The town tax maps, we went digital, last Monday. Susan from Cardo Graphics was here Wednesday, showed me some ins and outs. Bob and I worked a little bit with it today. We want to work with it a little bit next few days before we post it on, actually put it on the town website.
Okay.
You can't break it.
Like, you want to talk to him about the corner of our land?
Yeah,
What's that?
with John Young, it's, if you look at the GIS maps, it's showing square lines when, if you look at the surveyor map that, John Young, it was, Barassa had done, there's a 200-foot arc
In the actual property
in the
line,
actual
supposedly.
property line supposedly. But
That's
Gloria's
not
got it in
reflected on
file.
our town maps, that's what you're saying?
So,
Yeah, I actually haven't had anybody analyze our particular deed to see what it says, because it's virtually unreadable. It starts out with this much, much bigger piece of property,
Yeah.
right? And then says, oh, take this piece off, take that piece off, take this piece off. It's like, okay, you have to hire a surveyor to even do the work just to figure out what they're gonna take off.
Who signed off on it? Al Barassa?
Yeah, it was Barassa that had the trailer park before John Young bought it. And, I've forgotten who the surveyor was.
I can't remember.
Yeah, 1967, I think the survey was done on that trailer park. So, it's in, Gloria's got a copy of it.
Yeah.
It's not the greatest copy, but she's got a copy of
Oh,
it.
what it is the Barassa lot property at the top is square, right? So the trailer park's ownership is
Right.
square. And what it was is, who's the guy that,
Altabel.
Altabel? They quit claim deed this arc on top of the property, right? Now, you
The
can
top
quit-
above the,
on the top of the property that the
trailer park
is
above the
actually-
trailer
Got it.
park.
Just above
Yeah.
the trailer.
So it's square. It's square. That's what he bought. He bought this and this, and then the only thing that makes this arc happen is the fact that Altabel quit claims his property, which is what he sold us.
Right.
Quit claims his deed of his property to to John Young. Right. Now technically, that's not a transfer of property. He's just saying he's transferring his ownership that he claims on it, right? Now but he apparently owned it, so if he's quit claiming it to Young, then technically that quit claim's a transfer, because there's nobody else who can make a claim on it except us, right? So, assuming that we don't care about this arc, except for the fact that it was a real pain in the ass to get there. What's going on down there? Luckily, she did all the footwork. Then I'm not sure if you want to reflect that somehow in your maps, that you care. I can tell right away. He's glazed over. Care.
I would take a look at the map tomorrow and reach out to, you lost me.
If it's square lines down there, then it's not what I don't think that's appropriate.
Do you feel comfortable in where you think your property boundaries are?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good.
We don't care. It's the end of the world down there.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
It's a ravine.
Yeah, nobody's going to do anything.
You know?
Kevin, I thought you guys were gonna use Nimric.
Nimric's doing the reappraisal
Oh,
starts in
but they aren't
June.
doing the maps.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Okay.
We had to
Different
go with
thing.
a different one for that.
Unless the well that John Young has gets declared to be not a public water supply,
Yeah.
then it makes a difference.
Yeah, he's got a couple of springs and, yeah, he's
he-
got a couple of springs,
but
and
his
that
big-
was all part of this whole arc thing.
Yeah, his big pumped well there supplied that trailer park,
Yep.
and so it had to be declared a public water supply. And that's somehow or other, I'm not sure whether that law may have come in later, because apparently it wasn't a public water supply before that, maybe. I'm not sure what happened, right? It was being used as though it were one, but I think the footage got pushed out or something. I'm not sure what happened. But I know that Altabell had to quit claiming.
The,
So,
the thing that continuously amazes me is the things that have occurred because a couple of people shook hands and agreed to it, and then they passed away or whatever.
Yeah.
one of the things right in our deed says, and this is based on a contract between these two people. And it's not listed in the public records at all, what
Yeah.
the contract is.
There you go.
Right.
Exactly my point.
But yeah, we'll never find it. It's like lost in space.
We had just had a survey brought in, starting at this tree.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Ours says starting
What
at
was
the
that? I
small
missed it.
maple. Yeah.
Right?
I didn't hear what you said.
The survey said starting at this tree.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
All the old farm deeds are that way.
Yeah.
Well, the one, if you look at the map in Gloria's Vault, it says small pine tree. That small pine tree now is about this big around,
Yeah.
but it's still standing at least.
Right.
Well, I was going to ask you, the miracle that it's still there.
But anyhow, hopefully next week, it'll be live on the town website so people can go in and take a look, get their information.
Cool.
Stuff like that.
Good job. Good report.
I happened to drop in when this Susan lady was here, and after you left, Kevin, I had a very nice conversation with her. It was quite impressive what they're talking about. And the thing that I liked best was that it'll be easily to access on our home computer.
Yeah, and got a computer at home, realtors can do it from their office.
Yeah.
We anticipate being able to get the business push, like lister cards and
Yeah.
cost sheets.
Yeah,
Property
cost
cost,
sheet,
you
yeah.
break down, but,
Yeah.
all your taxes get to be what they are, by just clicking on. Of course, it's
Absolutely.
public
I mean,
information, anybody can get it if they come here on anybody's property.
Yeah.
But you'll be able to just click on a piece of property and get that information.
Proctor's had their stuff digitized for quite a few years now. It's been nice, and even Rutland City, when you want to see who the landowners are, and Rutland City updates theirs once a week. So I don't know how often our stuff will get updated.
Once, the town will be updated once a month.
Okay, that's pretty good.
The paper maps, of course, we all know,
Yeah,
you make one transfer.
yeah.
And the
It's
paper
out
map's
there.
obsolete the day after you get it, you get one transfer, but they'll be able to update the names and update stuff and correct stuff and, right off the bat.
I view that as one of the good advantages of all of our technology stuff. I mean, there's many things, in my opinion, that you can almost do faster by hand.
It's interesting, I use Shelley's property line for this, on this map, you click an icon,
Yep.
Right. Of course, our property abuts Shelley.
Yes, I knew that.
And so her back line, my back line, her front line, click on it and just run the icon, click, stop, and tell you X number of feet.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Is the big power line run through?
Coco,
Close.
close.
They're
Goes
next-
through Kent Belden's front yard. You can see it from his house.
That's a big line,
Yeah,
300.
the butts our property.
345 K in that, right?
375.
No, 345.
I don't know. I mean, so I must have gotten my information wrong from the map.
I did some work on that. So there was some insulators. That's another story. We had to change out. Kim, do you have anything?
Well, I just wanted to bring up that it came to my attention this afternoon that we had a dog bite incident in town, and I'm awaiting the report from Officer Sweet. And I just couldn't quite recall the town's dog ordinance. I know that last time we did have a hearing
Mm-hmm.
It's
to
usually,
decide what to do.
it's usually
Is
at
that-
the recommendation of
The
Sheriff.
officer, and
Okay.
if there's a formal complaint to the select board by the injured party.
The injured party did want to formally
So I
complain.
believe they have to just submit a letter to
Submit a
us.
letter. Okay, I said I would
believe.
get back to her tomorrow with what she would need to do.
Yep,
Is it-
let's do that.
I would check with the sheriff as well.
Yeah,
Do we know what part of town it was in?
Over by the
I know the
bridge.
parties, but I don't know if you want me to say their names.
No, I'm
at
just
this
saying
point.
what
I
part.
don't.
What
I-
part of
Over
town?
by the
I don't.
bridge.
You know.
Over by the bridge.
'Cause I
There's a
got-
lot of bridges in town.
Yeah.
I think Kingsley, correct?
Yes.
Over that way.
Oh,
Okay,
on
so
gravel roads,
so eastern side of town. Okay.
So it's not the same homeowner from last summer.
So that's what I was just trying
No,
to confirm.
no,
We're
it's a
not
different-
talking the same
No.
No,
situation.
that was up
Bicycle.
on,
Right, middle of
When you
the-
said a bike, you're talking
Bite.
about a
A
bicycle.
bite. Dog bite. And it was
On a pedestrian or a bicycle though?
on a neighboring pedestrian.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, just because there's a lot of people that do a lot of gravel ride and that it's a popular road, so.
No, it was not someone on a bike. No,
Yeah,
it was a neighbor getting their mail
I would find out also from Deputy Sweet what the
situation.
deal is.
situation is and
Okay.
if it's
All right.
considered handled or where we're at.
Okay.
all right, anything else? All right, do you have any concerns, Rob?
I'm all set for tonight.
Me too.
I got a couple of small ones, of course. Number one, let me again apologize for missing the date here or time period. I just had something else on my mind and was not paying attention. The second thing is last meeting we talked about the success of what's going on at the transfer station. And as a board, I think we neglected to say congratulations on doing a good job to our folks over there doing the transfer station. So that's what I'm doing at this moment. Congratulations, guys, at the transfer station
Yep.
for doing a good job.
Thanks, guys. Where's the camera?
Because I know they watch us on the TV. And the last thing is Cash in our discussion this morning. He asked me if I would convey to us tonight that at our next meeting when he'll be here, he wants to discuss the endorsements on the licenses for the crew on the town crew.
So I understand that discussion, but I think that discussion ultimately is part of our policy workshop for the summer.
That's fine. I'm
I
just
don't-
laying what I was at.
I know, but I think that's going to be a whole board discussion, and I've heard some rumblings already about it.
That's fine.
And I would suggest that it be a part of that workshop, and the whole board can have some
Then I guess
discussion.
what we need to do is set that date that.
Oh, absolutely. And I think we said that we were doing workshops in July, I think, is what
Yep,
we had
we did.
settled. So,
Maybe we'll just pick a date for,
because I mean, I'm only one person on the board, but I'm in my other line of work. I'm a big believer you don't change policies midstream.
Of course.
So you have to be very thoughtful when you
Oh.
update, if you update policy. So,
no argument.
yep,
It's the tanker endorsement.
that's the rumblings I've heard.
Having a tank on that trailer constitute a tanker endorsement.
That's part of the question.
That would be the question to ask DOT, because those guys will have to do a full-blown road test and everything with a
Correct.
instructor.
There's multiple facets to this, and that's why I'm saying
Yeah,
it's a
I'm just
bigger
saying that
it's
you
a
guys-
bigger discussion.
You guys are exempt. They have CDLs, every one of them, but you're exempt. Why mess with it?
Somebody sitting at a desk up north.
No, I don't think there's somebody else sitting somewheres. And it's only gonna benefit one guy down there to have that endorsement. Don't say it.
This is a bigger discussion. That's why I'm
Yeah,
saying.
don't say it, but like I said, why mess with it? You're
That's why
exempt.
I'm saying.
You got employees with CDLs, whether they're Class A's or B's. I can drive everything but a goddamn school bus, and I wouldn't. But anyways, this is a big fish.
Still have my license from
Me
when
too.
I operated equipment.
But you don't need, I don't think you need a tanker endorsement to haul that spray trailer. And we know they're feeling about brine, they'd rather waste the money in salt.
Well, you brought it up, George.
I'm done.
Tanker endorsement means a qualified tanker.
Correct.
Makes me think of the Marine Corps, right?
Meeting's getting to an end.
What's that?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
What a deal.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is there, you second that, did you?
I did.
All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Nice, isn't it, Kevin?
All right, you all for coming.
Yep, thank you.